All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're unpacking a classic fable today, The Poor Woodcutter and the Magic Tree. Now, on the surface, yeah, it sounds like a simple bedtime story. But dig a little deeper, and it's actually this brilliant, fascinating look at the psychology of wealth and how different people react when they are suddenly handed absolute power and unlimited resources.
So, let me ask you something, and I really want you to keep this in the back of your mind as we go. If a magic tree offered you exactly one wish, what would you actually choose? I mean, it's literally the ultimate test of character, right? Today we're going to analyze two very different guys who face this exact scenario, and we'll see how their baseline personalities completely dictated their ultimate fates.
Okay, Section 1, the woodcutter's struggle. We start by meeting our main guy, Ramu. He's a hardworking but completely broke woodcutter living in a tiny hut with his wife Sita and their young son Mohan. He's out there chopping and selling wood every single day, but man, despite all that relentless effort, they are just barely scraping by.
And the stakes skyrocket almost immediately. They're sitting down for a quiet dinner, and Sita drops this terrifying reality check. They literally only have enough food left for one single day. Talk about pressure. So the very next morning, before the sun is even up, Ramu makes a desperate move. He treks way deeper into the quiet, cool parts of the forest than he's ever been before, just hoping to find enough wood to save his family.
And out there in that uncharted territory, the air gets a bit cooler, the forest gets super quiet, and he finds something, well, spectacular. It's this impossibly huge tree. The trunk is massive, the branches are touching the clouds, and it's got these golden leaves that are just sparkling in the sun. Ramu does the math in his head. He figures chopping down this one giant could feed his family for months. So he lifts his axe, totally ready to strike. But right before he swings, this booming, deep voice echoes through the silence. The giant tree literally starts glowing with this blinding golden light, and it speaks directly to him. It says it's the magic tree, the guardian of the forest. And then it offers Ramu this wild deal. Because Ramu is a kind and honest man, if he just puts the axe down and spares the tree's life, it'll grant him one single wish.
Which brings us to Section 2, a selfless wish. Now, think about Ramu's situation for a second. He has absolutely nothing, and suddenly he's presented with unlimited possibilities. He could ask for endless gold, absolute power, a giant palace. The sky is literally the limit here.
But instead of demanding a mansion or endless riches, Ramu actually pauses. He thinks carefully about what truly matters. And he just asks for basic security. He says, "I only wish that my family never goes hungry." That's it. And the glowing tree instantly recognizes how incredibly pure and selfless that choice is, and it starts glowing even brighter than before.
Poof! A small chest filled with shiny gold coins appears right there on the ground. Ramu is just overwhelmed with gratitude. He takes it home, and his kid Mohan is jumping off the walls shouting about how rich they are. But Sita, who totally reflects Ramu's grounded nature, steps in and reminds them that, sure, this is a life changer, but they have to make a conscious decision to use this treasure wisely, not just blow it all.
All right, Section 3, the greed trap. Because every good story needs a solid contrast, right? Enter the village landlord. This guy is notorious throughout the town for his greed, and he secretly overheard Ramu talking about what happened. So, obsessed with getting his own payday, he sprints into the forest the very next morning to find this magic tree.
And the contrast here is just night and day. Ramu was so humble, thoughtful, and grateful, right? But the landlord, he marches right up to this magical being and just starts yelling. "I know who you are. Grant me a wish immediately," he screams. Zero respect. Just pure, entitled, aggressive expectation.
So the tree calmly looks down at him and asks what he wants. And the landlord doesn't even pause to think about anyone else. Driven purely by his own massive ego and greed, he makes the ultimate grandiose demand. I want to become the richest man in the entire world.
The tree just goes dead silent for a profound second, and then it drops a very clear, stern warning. Greed often leads to suffering. Basically, it's giving the guy one last chance to reconsider. But the landlord is having none of it. He aggressively ignores the warning, screaming that he doesn't care and demanding his wish right then and there.
And this is where the pacing of our story just descends into absolute chaos. The ground shakes, and these massive mountains of solid gold suddenly erupt out of the earth all around him. He is losing his mind laughing, climbing up the gold, claiming he's the richest guy alive. But within seconds, the gold starts turning gray. It completely morphs into ordinary heavy stone, and with this massive crack, the stone mountains violently collapse inward, taking the crying landlord down to the ground with them.
As he's lying there in the rubble, crying over his lost treasure, the tree's deep voice echoes through the forest one more time with a brutal truth. Greed destroys happiness. Wealth means nothing without wisdom. It is a totally devastating reality check for the landlord. For the first time in his life, he has to just lower his head in shame and admit that he was wrong.
So, moving to Section 4, Redefining True Wealth. Let's head back to the village. We just saw what happens when wealth meets zero wisdom. Now let's see what wealth combined with wisdom can actually build.
Because Ramu didn't just hoard his gold coins under a mattress in his hut. He actively poured those resources right back into his environment. He helped out other struggling families, he built a brand new school for the local kids, and he even funded a well so everyone had access to clean water. He basically single-handedly made the entire village significantly happier and more prosperous.
And that is the crucial point here. We have two guys reacting to the exact same catalyst, a magical wish. Ramu leads with kindness and honesty, and it brings lasting happiness to him and his community. The landlord leads with greed, and it just buys him a one-way ticket to immediate misery and shame.
A few months go by, and Ramu takes a stroll back into the forest to visit the tree. The tree is glowing warmly, praising him for using the gift so wisely. And Ramu reveals this really profound realization. He tells the tree that the physical gold coins, they were just a tool. They weren't the actual magic. The real magic, he explains, is kindness, honesty, and actually helping people.
And that right there distills the entire narrative into one powerful lesson. It completely shifts the metric of success. The villagers remember this forever. True wealth isn't measured by the size of your house, the mountains of gold you can climb, or how much you hoard. It's measured exclusively by how much good you do for others. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. When you look at how you deploy your own resources, your time, your energy, in your daily life, are you measuring your wealth by what you hoard or by what you build for others? It's definitely a question worth asking yourself every single day. Thanks so much for exploring this fascinating framework with me.